Good morning, dear guests. I would like to thank you for your time. Right now, there are over 3 million people in concentration camps in East Turkestan. The government will say that those numbers are exaggerated, that they're re-educating Muslim terrorists and political dissidents. But it is a lie. I've worked inside those camps, and I'm here to tell you what I witnessed with my own eyes. By the end of my story, I think you'll agree there's only one word to describe what's happening in China: genocide. I'm a Chinese language teacher from East Turkestan, what the CCP calls Xinjiang. And after 28 years of teaching, on February 28, 2017, the president of my school called me into his office and said, "Go to the party committee office tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. You have an important meeting." I asked what about it, but he didn't know. I showed up and recognized a few other teachers from our district. The party secretary of Regional Education Department, Song Li Ying, closed the door and said, "We've just started a new semester and we've gathered a number of illiterates for you. Starting tomorrow, March 1st, you'll teach the national language, Mandarin Chinese, to them at designated locations. When you go there, don't tell anyone what you saw, what you heard, or what you knew. Keep it very confidential. Don't mention it to the school leaders, principals, or even your co-workers, friends, and your family members." I thought that was strange, but before I could ask, Song Li said, "Kalbinur teacher, your daughter is in the Netherlands, right? The Netherlands and China have very close relationship." I knew what it was, a threat. I had no choice but to accept their offer and stay quiet, so I signed my name and stamped my fingers with ink. The next morning, a police officer picked me up and drove me to the designated location. It was a 4-story building inside a compound with walls covered in barbed wire and a series of strong electric doors. The policeman tapped the car to let me in, and a female worker asked, "Teacher, are you ready? We can bring in the students." I said yes. On the right of the corridor, they unlocked 3 doors, one with an electronic keypad, one with regular padlock, and a third intertwined by wires. She shouted, class is starting! And I saw that 97 so-called illiterate students coming out of their cells. They were older adults with chains on their hands and feet. My heart started pounding. I felt totally despair and hopelessness. But I was surrounded by armed police. "My name is Kalbinur," I said. "I will teach you the national language starting today." And then I quickly turned to the board to start writing Chinese vowels because I knew if I looked at them much longer, I would break down crying. Later in the lesson, I noticed 8 surveillance cameras in the room. It was the longest and scariest hours of my life in my teaching career. At 12 o'clock, we went outside, and the female workers said they were going to distribute the detainees food. "I want to help too," I said. They agreed. They started scooping out rice soup, but it was almost entirely water. I started handing out Chinese buns, 1 piece per person. I gave 2 elderly people an extra piece and didn't think it would be a problem until someone yelled, "A bun is missing." There was a momentary panic, but a worker said it must have been the kitchen's mistake. She told me everything is carefully counted and asked me not to help again because I almost put them in danger. I was horrified. As the weeks passed, there was a constant influx of new prisoners. I thought 6 to 7 hours a day to different group every hour. From the numbers printed on their uniforms, there must have been over 7 to 8,000 detainees. They didn't shower. Each floor had just one toilet, and there was one limit to use them. And they slept on the cold concrete floor. One time, I went to pour myself a cup of tea, and a worker came running at me shouting, "Hey teacher, don't drink that." I asked why, but she didn't have a good reason. I started suspecting the water. Even the most healthy inmates were losing weight dramatically. Over time, many of my students disappeared. They allegedly died on the way to the hospital. After 6 months, my contract ended and I was so relieved. But then I was called for a new job. Starting September 1st, 2017, I teach at the women's camp in Tugang. It had 6 floors with at least 20 cells per floor, roughly 10,000 inmates in the building. At a simple glance, the women looked like men, wearing orange vests with numbers printed on them. Every Monday, they would be administered unknown medications. As a result, 90% of the women, who are aged between 18 to 48 years old, would stop menstruating. My Chinese friend told me that they would bring women in an interrogation room and force them to confess to crimes they'd never committed. Then 4 to 5 police officers would rape the girl, one after another. They'd take an electric rod and stick it into her vagina or rectum to torture her. I was supposed to teach at the women's camp through March, but in November, I got sick. And when I went back to my school in February, I was forced to retire with the excuse that I didn't complete my duty. 2 months later, I got a message from the neighborhood committee and the police informed me that I have to go to the police station in Changloyan Hospital to undergo a sterilization surgery. All women aged between 18 and 59 must be subjected to birth control procedures, and if you don't get it done, you and your family would be punished. In October 2019, with my own efforts, I left for the Netherlands where my daughter lived. I started testifying in February 2020. After I gave interviews to international media such as The Guardian, BBC, CNN, my family started receiving threats, including my husband. On February 18, 2021, I got an unexpected call on WeChat from a Chinese police officer. He passed the phone to my husband, who was angry. He said, "I don't want to have anything to do with you. From today forward, we're divorced." I knew immediately that he was being forced to say that by the police. Then, 1 month ago, I found out that my older brother had passed away. He went to the hospital for a cold, and the next day he died under mysterious circumstances. The CCP won't just ruin your life, they will go after your entire family too. I can only say so much today, but let me be clear. The Chinese government is systematically torturing, sterilizing women, separating families, enslaving Uyghurs in forced labor factories, and murdering the people of East Turkestan. The Chinese government, again, is systematically eradicating the Uyghur people of East Turkestan. A genocide is unfolding against millions of Uyghurs and Turkic people. We cannot stay silent on this genocide. We must act. We have to stand against the Chinese Communist Party. Thank you.